And now it's time to discuss the very difficult issue with the stolen Ukrainian kids and deported to Russian Federation with my first guest tonight. This is Monsieur Gabriel Sebbah, who's lawyer at the Paris Bar. Monsieur Sebbah, hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for finding some time in discussing this very complex but very vital and important issue for all the Ukrainians in Ukraine and all abroad. So my first question is, how will the International Criminal Court force Russia to return kidnapped children to Ukraine? I mean, is there any procedure? So step 1, step 2, step 3, and can the International Criminal Court force Russia to do something?
So, yeah, it's a very good question. The purpose of the International Criminal Court and the Bureau of the Prosecutor is not directly to force Russia to return the children. It's mainly to take Vladimir Putin and Maria Lvova-Belova to court and to judge them for what they have done. So the purpose of the International Criminal Court is not directly to force Russia to return the children. But what we can expect and hope is that with the pressure in the International Criminal Court and the arrest warrants, this pressure will lead the Russian Federation and Maria Lvova-Belova and Vladimir Putin to return the children and perhaps stop the policy of deportation. But it's only a hope, and it is also why the prosecutor made public these arrest warrants, because they are normally confidential. So this publicity is to put pressure on Russia to return the children and to stop their policy. But the main purpose of the ICC is to take the people that are responsible to court.
I see. And Mr. Putin is now under the gunpoint of the international law. And apart from the complicating logistics for Putin now, what other problems does international prosecution pose for him?
Yeah, so you're right. Now that the arrest warrants are issued against Vladimir Putin, he is formally a wanted man, and it will constrain his ability to go abroad, and it is a big constraint for a head of state. But it will also compromise maybe his future as a head of state, because even in 1, 2, or 3 years, when the war will stop, Vladimir Putin will still be under arrest, under this pressure of the arrest warrants, and he will not be able to fulfill his duty as the head of state even after the war. So it's really something that will have consequences also in the future. Now it already has consequences because it labels Vladimir Putin as a war criminal, and he's already very limited in his ability to go abroad. But in the future, the problem will last, and we can imagine that it will not be easy for head of states to be under this arrest warrants for a long period of time.
Yeah, that really makes some point. But let's assume that one day Putin will sit on the dock and the International Criminal Court will still demonstrate the rule of the law in the world. So what will happen then? And how other authoritarian regimes will react, like in Belarus or maybe other countries with those regimes?
So you're perfectly right. The ICC doesn't have the ability to go and arrest a person. The ICC needs the cooperation of states to arrest a person. And all member states of the Rome Statutes have the obligation, legal obligation, to arrest a person that is under an arrest warrant, even if he is a head of state. And the authoritarian regimes that you mentioned, like Belarus, are very often not part of the Rome Statutes. So they are not under this obligation to cooperate. So it will not limit Vladimir Putin to go to these kind of authoritarian regimes in the future or now. However, the cooperation between countries, between a country with Russia, will be also limited by this arrest warrants, because the international pressure will be huge on these countries that will cooperate with Russia. We can assume that this pressure will be very important.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being the guest of Spotlight Ukraine once again, and thank you for finding some time. So, Monsieur Gabriel Sebbah, the lawyer from the Paris Bar, was the guest of our program, and now we continue. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Latest news, trends, and analytics on all about Ukraine. Like, share, and subscribe. Any questions, proposals, and comments, contact us via email.